We won a contest. The British and Irish Lions tour of Australia has started to feel less like a battle, more like a well-organised promotional campaign. I just think one of the best brains in world rugby, Mike Cron, does something and understands something about the game that very few people do. Stuff all people honestly know, and I don't, what goes on in that front row.
These guys are pushing their bodies to the absolute limit, and we're sitting there probably in our jammies and our blankies and cuddled up on the couch going, "You're not fast enough."
Welcome to the DSPN.
John Walker wins the 1500 metres gold medal at the Olympic Games.
The All Blacks have won by 29 points to 9.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin, Devlin, Lachlan Waugh. We are the DSPN on Rover or wherever you find your favourite podcasts, Spotify, Google, Apple Play, here on the DSPN YouTube channel. I ask you most days to click that subscribe button on the DSPN channel here on YouTube. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. We've only got about 30 or 40 to go at the time we're recording this. So if you click, we might get 10,000 before the weekend. That would be brilliant. And the more subscribers, the means that we can continue to provide all this content to you for free. Thank you for supporting us. If you know anyone that you think might like listening to it or watching it, let them know as well. And the only rule of qualification is just hit that subscribe button for us. Today, John Eales, absolute legend of not just Australian, but international rugby, captained the Wallabies to a World Cup in 1999. He was there as captain through that period, 2000, 2001, 2002, where we squared the Bledisloe every single year, but they kept it because they had it. Plus, he captained his Wallaby team against the Lions in 2001, came back from 1-0 down to win that series 2-1. Can they do it again this weekend? John Eales on the program. Greg Martin, as always, on a Thursday, former Wallaby fullback, Triple M breakfast host out of Brisbane, joining us. We'll do a tight five as well, and we begin the show the same way every day.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
The Lions tour. It's not that bad, but look, it started with a roar, fast becoming more of a yawn. Look, if you're not involved, I'm talking about if you're a Wallabies fan or a Lions fan, come on. We won a contest. The British and Irish Lions tour of Australia has started to feel less like a battle, more like a well-organised promotional campaign, which of course it is, but this one's sponsored by No Contest Limited. The Wallabies, they're not just underdogs, they're undercooked, underpowered and undergoing some kind of national rugby identity crisis. Watching them lose that first test felt less like a match at times, especially in the first 30 minutes, more like a Lions training run in front of a paying crowd. What once sparked excitement has dulled into a predictable march of Lions dominance. I mean, you take away the match on Tuesday against the First Nations Pacifica side, the rest of it has just been too easy. 2 tests to go, Melbourne this weekend, Sydney the next, and the only real suspense left is by how much the tourists are going to win and whether they can make history as the first Lions team ever to win every game on tour. The 74 Lions, South Africa went unbeaten, but they drew one game. These blokes have won every single game in Australia, dropped nothing unless you count, of course, the warm-up match against Argentina in Dublin, but that's about as relevant as a boomer doing TikTok. So come on, Australia. This is your moment. Time to channel your inner underarm. Dust off the sandpaper. Do anything at all that might work, because right now, this isn't sport. It's promotional as opposed to contestable. The Lions look great. The Wallabies are terrible.
Devlin.
Tight five, Lachlan.
The tight five.
That means 5 separate sporting topics du jour, about 90 seconds, 2 minutes on each. And when this guy yells at us, we move on to the next one. I'm going to talk Roosters Storm tonight, kicking off round 21. Mike Cron has a book out, The Scrum Doctor. Steve Hansen yesterday saying that the All Blacks can beat the Box and beat them twice. Preserve that Eden Park record. Tour de France, you watching any of that? And Yannick Sinner has rehired the fitness coach he fired after being banned for drugs. Yes! Let's kick it off, though, with Steve Hansen yesterday. All Blacks can beat the Box, and he seemed really confident about that. That interview is on the DSPN YouTube channel. Have a look at it. Leave us a comment on it. I like his confidence. He probably wouldn't ever say anything else, but he liked what we have gone through against France as a build-up and thinks it's a really good build-up. You agree with him?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to sway each way because if you buy into the media's rhetoric ahead of this test series, it's that this France team was a rotated team that's never going to give us a great test, and it's a real shame they can't bring the best players down here. And then we were quick to assume that
there was legitimacy in that argument.
There was. We were very quick to assume then that the players they were bringing weren't good players at all, absolute scrubs, and we were going to smack them around, which wasn't the case. Because I think just like if the All Blacks sent a B team or a C team overseas to play France, their A team, a B team from New Zealand would still be competitive.
Okay, well, that's good. Say we sent and I'm not going to call them the All Blacks 15, the New Zealand 15, right? Which is effectively our B team. If we sent them over there, I would expect them...
Well, that's more our D team because your A, B and C are in the main squad,
I'd still expect them to be competitive, though, if they'd had some warm-up matches and things.
Yeah, and that would still be viewed as a good build-up for France. So, no, I agree that the France test... And you described it quite well. I think it was to Murray Mixted. You said this to this week, where it's all kind of part of this nice little trend upwards. You got France, and you got Argentina away, and then you got South Africa. So no, I think it's a good build-up.
Yes!
Roosters Storm tonight, round 21, kicking off NRL. Fantastic game to kick it off. Storm coming off that loss to Manly. So they had won 6 previous to that. They're third in the table, 30 points. The Roosters record, win-win-loss, win-loss. So they lost to the Sharks, they beat the Dragons. Before that, they lost to the Tigers. Before that, they beat the Cowboys. They're 10th, they're 22 points. I'm just giving you all those stats to kind of highlight how desperate the Roosters have to be in this game. They're 2 points now out of the 8. If they drop again and they go 4 points out, then you're looking at 6 games to go, and trying to claw that gap back gets so much harder. Can they beat the Storm tonight, given what you saw?
No, there's 2 other reasons why. And there's stats that I don't have the exact numbers of, apologies, but it is that the Roosters haven't beaten the Storm in a very, very long time. And the Storm do not lose back-to-back. When they lose, they bounce back the next week, and whoever they're playing, they absolutely smack them around. So the Roosters don't have much going for them tonight. Sorry. Melbourne are going to win this. It's in Sydney, though, isn't it?
Yeah, did you see Craig Bellamy in the coach's box last weekend?
I love the bit. Yeah, he goes nuts and loses his mind, but I like the silent ones.
The silent storming off is the best one to me, where he just gets up and just walks.
Turns around and walks towards the door.
Yeah, and what we don't see is what happens to the door or what happens when he goes through the door.
Yeah.
The NRL don't make enough of this guy. He, to me, is like he's his own show, isn't he?
Mm. But it's all an act. Well, not an act, but it's all for show, yeah. Because
I believe there's a theatrical element to it.
Bro, Brandon Smith was on a podcast with someone, might have been this week or last week. He's just doing the Rabbitohs, and he's talking about the similarities, differences between Bellamy, Bennett, and Trent Robinson. And he goes on and essentially says that Craig Bellamy is a bit of a joker. He's easygoing. He's not too bad off the field or out of the coach's box. But when the games are on, when the cameras are on, he just tends to amplify it a little bit more.
Well, why not? It's a part of the thing. And I think he's brilliant. They were calling him Bellyache for a reason. I mean, I just think that they bounce back, because you wouldn't. I think two losses and he would be pretty nasty.
Well, yeah, and they are still the best team in the competition. I think they're still the team that's going to win the premiership.
Yannick Sinner has rehired the fitness coach he fired after being banned for 3 months from drug use. Cloestibol, I think, in his system. He's rehired this guy. Now, I don't agree with Nick Kyrgios on anything. I used to get so tired of his antics on the court, and I used to find it boring. But I really applaud him for being the one player withstanding, because he's made a Wimbledon final and everything else.
Yeah, you were on the Nick Kyrgios train when he made that final.
Well, look, and he's come out here and he says, we've all been played. He has been really outspoken about this the whole time, and good on him, because you need that voice shouting from that side about this, because everyone's just sweeping this whole Sinner thing under the carpet.
Well, you need a Devlin.
You need somebody saying,
voice.
This isn't right, though.
Yeah.
And pointing it out, going, this isn't actually right. There's something that stinks about this.
Well, the 2 things that are the most stinky are the fact that obviously, that he's rehired the coach very soon after he's managed to make his return to tennis. He's won a tournament, blah, 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 all this and that. The other one was that his ban aligned perfectly that he was allowed to start playing again at I think it's the Italian Open.
Yeah, Italian into the French.
The French Open.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You have to have faith that the system does
Tennis does not want this guy not playing.
No,
because of the Alcaraz rivalry.
Exactly.
And
they want
else.
They want this Rafa, Roger, Novak, a new age rivalry. In this case, it's 2 people, and I don't know. From one side, you have to have faith in the system. From the other side, you don't have to be that smart to work out that things aren't quite right here.
Doesn't feel right. Tour de France. Have you been watching any of this? Look, I don't watch it during the night because it's up at the wrong time, but I try and catch highlights as much as I can, because I love France as a country. We were very lucky to spend a good month there at the Rugby World Cup a couple of years ago in Paris, and a little bit in the surrounds, and it's like a cycling race through a postcard of France. It's a beautiful country.
That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
the perfect advertisement for France.
Yeah.
It's just awesome to look at.
But every time I watch them, and the mountain stages are my favourite because going up is just the most torturous experience. Coming down at 80k. Now I went on a electric bike ride in Arrowtown. Remember at Easter?
Was this when you got mud all up your
Yeah,
backside?
because I did it in a leather jacket and boots and so forth. What a twat. But we got up to about 40k on a bike, which is it's really fast when you're actually on a push bike.
Yes.
These guys are doing 80k down a hill on wet, greasy roads, racing.
Yep. Thin tyres, not much grip.
That's it. And then also, when you come off, you don't even have a tracksuit. You've got spandex.
Yeah.
You've got lycra. When they say gravel rash sounds quite funny, doesn't it? No. That's just skin being ripped off and gravel being, imprinted upon your body.
Yeah.
They're
the most horrendous injuries that you get as a cyclist, as a road cyclist.
These guys are amongst the toughest athletes on the planet. Forget all the drug abuse and all of that kind of stuff. Just the mindset to do that. Doing it without fear. How could you not be absolutely shite scared racing that bike down that hill like that?
And there are a lot of great videos where people are talking about how this race, it's inhumane to do it. And that's why people doped, because you couldn't do it clean. There's just no way that it was healthy for you in any way whatsoever. But also, the Tour de France is a great event because, it's a postcard for France, as you say. It's wonderful to watch. It's also the perfect representation. Like, we're sitting there on the couch, we're yelling at the TV screen when an All Black does this, or, a Warriors player makes a knock on, and you're sitting there with a beer and chips, and you got your gut hanging out. The Tour de France is that on steroids because these guys are pushing their bodies to the absolute limit, and we're sitting there probably in our jammies and our blankies and cuddled up on the couch going, "You're not fast enough." And you realise that, come on, you could be up at the gym, but instead you're just watching the TV.
Nothing but admiration. All right. And nothing but admiration for this guy. Mike Cron, the scrum doctor, has just put a book out. It's called Coach, Lessons from an All Black Legend. We're going to be talking to him next week on the show. Some of the chapters in the book I just wanted to run past you. One of them is called The Police and How to Command a Room, because he was a copper for over 20 years. The Scrum Doctor, that Ford Pass in 07, World Champs 208 to 211, Chasing Greatness 211 to 215. I'm really looking forward to those two chapters, going from being the best in the world and then kicking it up a gear. The All Blacks philosophy, Black Ferns at a very short runway, and then helping out a mate in the excrement, which is him joining Joe Schmidt. This guy is one of the best brains in world rugby, Mike Cron. Really well worth listening to, and just does something and understands something about the game that very few people do. Stuff all people honestly know, and I don't, what goes on in that front row.
No.
I mean, hello.
No one knows.
Hello? Unless you do it.
Yeah. And the great thing about what he does as well, like when I'm watching it, is I'm thinking about the strain you're putting on your back and your body, and your neck. Because there was a Wallabies player, I think it was in the 2003 World Cup semi-final, who had I think the term is a prolapsed disc or something or other disc.
So that's not good.
And it was I think it was the Wallabies All Black semi-final at the 03 World Cup. I think it was an Australian player. I can't remember his name. But when I remember reading about it, every time now when I watch a scrum, I just think of, what if this guy's spine just snaps?
Yeah.
So you've got to be incredibly accurate as the player. And so if you've got to be accurate as the player, not only having a strong back and a strong neck and whatnot, as the coach, a lot falls on you to be accurate with your teachings.
Totally.
So clearly Mike Cron is incredible at his job.
And when you look at him, if you just bumped into him in the supermarket, you probably think he drives an Uber.
Yeah.
And here's this guy who is just the absolute world expert in the most technical part of the game. He's well worth listening to. He's going to be on the podcast. And also, if you get a chance to have a read of his book, do. Mike Cron, Coach, Lessons from an All Black Legend.
Would you write a book?
Well, I don't think anyone would read it, mate.
Maybe.
This is the DSPN